Hello everyone and welcome to week 12 of English 120. This week we're going to talk about organizing your argument. As you get ready to create the draft of your research paper, don't worry, it's not due this week. You need to think about how to develop a focused thesis and also organize the order in which you're going to be introducing subtopics and supporting them in your research paper. To look at how argument is created, we're going to take a look at Bettelheim's essay, The Child's Need for Magic, which is found in The Conscious Reader. And then in class, we are going to be completing the comp class unit, Respect Academic Ethics, and we'll be creating a research paper outline that you'll be turning in at the end of the week. So the first thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is this week's reading in The Conscious Reader. You're going to be reading Bruno Bettelheim's essay, The Child's Need for Magic. Here's the summary. Bettelheim's defense of fairy tales draws a lucid contrast between the reasoning of children and that of adults. Notice how well the author makes use of pertinent examples to recreate a child's sense of reality. Now, after you read this essay, I'd like you to participate in our discussion forum. This is the prompt for this week's discussion forum. This week we'll be practicing close reading and understanding an argument. Please closely read Bruno Bettelheim's essay, The Child's Need for Magic, which is found on pages 318 to 326 in The Conscious Reader, and answer the following questions. What type of source are you reading? What is Bettelheim's main point? What are the subtopics he brings up in his essay in order to make his points? Does he use evidence, outside sources, and experiences to help make those points? And does he bring up the other side of his argument, the counter-argument? What those who disagree with his main point think? Does Bettelheim convince you of his argument? Why or why not? So remember, when you're writing your discussion forum post, always use evidence from the text to support what you're saying. Next, I'd like you to do some work on your own about your research project. Oh, and by the way, in case you haven't already signed up, you're required to have a conference with me about your research project. I will be available during office hours, and there's a sign-up sheet under this week's content. But you don't have to meet me in person if it's too hard to get to campus. You can sign up for a time that works for you and leave your phone number, and I will gladly call you, and we can talk about it over the phone. But please make sure you're ready to talk about your research paper, meaning you have an idea of what your topic is, the sources you've been working with, and an idea of where you want to take it, and any questions you have for me, I'll be available to answer. Okay, so after we meet or before we meet, please start working on developing your thesis, and information on this topic is found on pages 203 to 209 in the Bedford Researcher, and also work on supporting your thesis. Information on this is found on pages 218 to 229 in the Bedford Researcher. So please, on a piece of paper, write down and answer the following questions about your thesis statement. Please write down what your research question is. Then write down what your position statement is. Remember, we worked on those last week. From that, you also want to think about what your purpose is. Why are you writing this paper? Obviously, you're writing it to fulfill a grade requirement, but what purpose could your paper serve for yourself, for society? Think big about it. Also, tell me what you want your thesis statement to reflect in regards to the following needs, interests, values, and beliefs of your readers. Is there anything that you could bring up in your research paper that could maybe offend readers, or that could elicit some sort of bias in readers? Then I want you to think about what you want your readers to do when they read your paper. Do you want them to learn about your topic? Or are you working towards changing their minds or attitudes or beliefs about your topic? Or do you want them to finish reading your paper and go and take action? Because this will change how you create your thesis statement. Then I want you to think about after building on your research question and position statement, I want you to draft a thesis statement. How can you incorporate the same ideas and position that you've crafted into a focused thesis statement? And remember, look at pages 203 to 209 for more detailed information. In fact, there's even examples of writing the different types of thesis statements regarding what you want your readers to do when they read your paper. So make sure you take a look at that. Then I want you to think about how you think your readers would respond, and what objections they might raise when they read your thesis or read your paper. And then try to focus your thesis statement. There's some examples of focused thesis statements on page 207. After you do this part, I would like you to work on developing your argument. How can you support your thesis statement? So I want you to get out a piece of paper, and after you've really written a solid thesis statement, I want you to list the reasons you're offering to support your thesis statement. These are your subtopics. What are the things you're going to look at in order to prove your thesis? You want to identify relevant evidence and then list the evidence below each reason. You might need to review your sources to locate additional information or evidence, or even obtain additional sources. Then you want to determine whether you're relying too heavily on a single source or type of evidence. Maybe you're only using websites, and you want to make sure you use an academic source as well. Finally, I want you to also work on organizing your paper. In the middle of take out a piece of paper, and in the middle of it, I'd like you to write your thesis statement. Then all around it, you want to place reasons or subtopics around your thesis statement. I want you to list the evidence you'll present to support your reasons and the subtopics next to each one. I want you to think about the relationships amongst the main point, reasons, and evidence, and draw lines and circles to show those relationships. And there's an example of this on page 222. Page 224 and 225 gives you some ideas. Then I want you to really annotate the clusters. What order do you want them to be in? Okay. And from this, I'd like you to create an outline of your paper. There will be an assignment posted under this week's content, which asks you to create a formal outline of your paper. So look under our content to see details on this. All right, that's it for this week, guys. Here's what's coming next week. I look forward to seeing you online, and don't forget to sign up for a conference.